Hi, Linda. Mile offshore, I can see the lamp in your hand, beckoning me. I say I need a safe place to land. Mile offshore, guess I'm home, my friend. Catch a full night of sleep again. I'm not going back out again, my friend. Mile offshore, the dolphin. Mile offshore, it's 73. So little has changed, this one pub village I see. The windows glisten, the hills are green. I hear your voice calling out to me. From here we both could be 17 again. Let's try to read the rest of your post there. Let's get raucous. I hear your mother and father are gone. They say I'm not the type we can depend upon. Looking in from this line of sight, I can only say your mother and father were right. Mile offshore, the dolphins dance by my hall, circling me to the lilting song of the gulls. I know that's what I've been sailing toward. When I climb down, I can climb aboard for a little dance. It's a sweet reward to ourselves. From my long, clear history of selfish deeds, I come home with only apologies. There's no blame if you turn your back. To hell with that, you're out there waiting for me. Mile offshore, I can see the lamp in your hand, beckoning me, said I'd leave a safe place to land. Mile offshore, guess I'm home, my friend. Catch a full night of sleep again. I'm not going back out again, my friend. Mile offshore, guess I'm home, my friend. Catch a full night of sleep again. I'm not going back out again, my friend. Mile offshore, I can see the lamp in your hand. Oh, 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 oh. Mile offshore, guess I found a safe place to land. Oh, 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 oh. Mile offshore, 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 welcome to the Raucous Holiday Party. You know, not really Christmas party, because I don't do a lot of Christmas songs. We may have one or two on here that refer to Christmas in some manner or form, but and then you know, you think, well, maybe we could play some, you know, that soft, nice, easy listening type music that you hear around Christmas. Might do a little of that too, but I don't really know. I mean, well, I do know, because I've got a song list written out up there of songs that I'll probably play. But it's been a while since I've introduced a new one. Another sailing song, you know, that one, the last one's kind of sailing. That's the title song for my new CD, you know, Mile Offshore. And this one is a fictional story, I guess, about somebody who just got back from a sailing trip down the Rhine River, you know, and I don't know anybody who's done that. But let me know if this is the first time anybody's heard this. Let me know if you've heard this one before, if it sounds like another song. But we're home, and the morning is going too slow. Pressure and tedium both. It's me doing this again. I can't even say when. Seems like a lifetime since then. Well, 3 months ago I was making our way to the source of the Rhine, parceling shares from a bottle of Riesling we picked up in a vineyard and mines. Picked up in a vineyard and mines. It appeared the moment we boarded in Trier, we shed all our memories of here. There was so many miles ahead. Was a chance to forget where the Rhine and the Moselle met. 3 weeks ago I found the cabin. We were making our way to the source of the Rhine, parceling shares from a bottle of Riesling we picked up in a vineyard and mines. Picked up in a vineyard and mines. Sailing on past cathedrals and castles and swans. Up ahead, now it's me doing this again. 3 weeks ago I sat outside my cabin. We were making our way to the source of the Rhine, parceling shares from a bottle of Riesling we picked up in a vineyard in mines. Picked up in a vineyard in mines. Parceling shares from a bottle of Riesling we picked up in a vineyard in mines. That's a new one with the usual memory problems for a new song, but about sailing down the Rhine River as much, and thinking about it after it was all over. Here's another new one. Hi, Terry. Hi, Randy. Hi, Nancy. Got an early Christmas present today from Randy. That's cool. Somebody besides me spinning the yarns about John Burns, the mythical character. Anyway, another brand new one. Let's see if I get this one memorized. You look like someone who might care. I wasn't fully convinced when I saw you there, but when I let out that sigh, there was a meeting of eyes. I instantly saw that you sympathized. In 17 words, I lost the love of my life, the house and the car and the job tonight. On top of that, I don't have a dime to my name. On top of that, I think I'm losing my memory. To be exact, I think I took the wrong train. Yes, I took the wrong train. I didn't always do it right. There's a definite reason I'm here tonight. I know what you saw, I know I've broken the law, but it takes two to tango, so help me God. Now I'm mourning for things that I can't break back. On top of that, I don't have a dime to my name. On top of that, I think I'm losing my memory. To be exact, I think I took the wrong train. Yes, I took the wrong train. Seasons ago, I was a man of esteem, but now I've taken to burning what I can't clean clean. Seems to be another rainless night, and I'm finished up tonight. On top of that, I don't have a dime to my name. On top of that, I think I'm losing my memory. To be exact, I think I took the wrong train. Yes, I took the wrong train. On top of that, I don't have a dime to my name. On top of that, I think I'm losing my memory. To be exact, I think I took the wrong train. Yes, I took the wrong train. On top of that, I think I took the wrong train. Yes, I took the wrong train. Oh, 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 oh. Whoa, ho, 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 ho. Song about getting old, and I'm not talking about, you know, getting into your 30s and 40s and stuff. I mean, I'm talking about getting really old, you know. Oh, ancient, you know. Elderly. Thank you, Linda. So that's a little raucous. Here's a raucous one. Thank you, Nancy. Here's a raucous one. Title song from my CD 2 years ago. Hi, Sandy. And you know, I'm dropping my CDs, my old CDs on the streaming services now. You know, Mile from Home, my newest one. You can now, if you've got Amazon, you've got Apple Music, you've got Spotify, anything like that, you could stream A Mile from Home. I haven't really been raking in the bucks on this yet. I had some guy, I think I told you last week, some guy in Moscow listened to one of my songs, and then there was a guy in Milan, Italy, that listened to one of my songs, and a woman in her 60s in Urbandale listened to 2 of my songs. So, but at any rate, my plan is right now to release older ones at 2 months intervals, and I think 1st of February. Badass Storm 2020 is going to be available on the streaming services too. Then after that, in April, if I keep going on this pace, probably a Form Letter from a Retired Prostitute. Then I may go back and do Undefeated. I don't know, but at any rate, this is the title song from Badass Storm 2020. Of course, it's relevant because, you know, we had a year ago on August 10th, we had a once-in-a-lifetime event. We had a derecho a year ago. You know, and thanks to climate change, we've had another one now. We had a worst one last week. And the dog and I sat home. We watched Twister. We did, really. 2020, Monday, August 10. Sirens blare all over town. Maybe they're just testing them. I don't see a lot of clouds. Moments later and all hell breaks loose. No, there is no question now. That derecho was a badass storm. That derecho flattened all my corn. I got no power, can't take a shower. The deck chair swinging on the cell phone tower. Would have run if I was truly warned. That derecho was a badass storm. 200,000 people in the Hawkeye State. They'll be sleeping in the dark. Power lines are back up straight. They charge the iPhones in the car. And all that I just brought home, should have left them in the cart. That derecho was a badass storm. That derecho flattened all my corn. I got no power, can't take a shower. The deck chair swinging on the cell phone tower. Would have run if I was fully warned. That derecho was a badass storm. What does it really mean? It's a straight line windstorm, it will pick you clean if you don't remember the name. She's the mean twin sister of a hurricane. That derecho was a badass storm. That derecho flattened all my corn. I got no power, can't take a shower. The deck chair swinging on the cell phone tower. I would have run if I was fully warned. That derecho was a badass storm. That derecho was a badass storm. It was a badass storm last year. It was a badass storm last week. You know, they had us going all night. Channel 8 did, you know. And the sirens are going all night. The dogs are going crazy. So I put on Twister. I put on Twister, made the dog. The one dog can watch TV. The other one can't see it. Made her crazy. Hi, Sky Razor. Happy Merry Christmas to Africa. We've got Africa. We've got England. We've got Iowa. All these people on the line right now, all over the world. Week from Friday, I'm going to try it again. Week from Friday, you know, my New Year's Eve live stream. And song I opened up with last year, a song I expect to open up with this year. This will be my first song. I don't know how long I'll go. You know, I say 4 hours minimum. You know, that way I can ring in the new year on the East Coast for my friends in Massachusetts, Carolinas, and every place South Florida. And then at midnight, Iowa time, Central Time, after I've been there for 2 hours. Then here, New Year's Eve in Central Time, Chicago, Des Moines, Kansas City, Texas. And then Mountain Time, Colorado, you know, and then Pacific Time, that's California. 2 o'clock. That takes up, and actually California will be on the second reel. One thing I learned last year was that they only let you go for 4 hours on Facebook Live. And so I'm going to be changing reels at about 1:45 our time, so I'm able to catch the New Year's in California. Then an hour after that, it's Alaska time. I've got a cousin up in Anchorage. I don't know if she'll be watching. And then it's Honolulu. And then who knows how long I'll go after that. Last year I went for 12 and a half hours until 10:30 in the morning. Merry Christmas to you, Rosemary. One of the great piano players in Des Moines, from Des Moines, is Rosemary Lehman, owner of Rosemary's Hideaway for quite a while. And but I know, you know, going back to New Year's Eve, I know that I have to stop by noon at least. That would be 13 and a half. That would be 14 hours because the Hawkeyes play at noon. I don't really anticipate going that long, but anyway, I'll start with this one. Teary-eyed girl at the bar. We're both in the same boat, yes we are. This may be the loneliest night of the year. Don't pretend I'm not here. Don't you push me away. I know exactly what you're gonna say, but I'm here to ask you anyway. You consider flying off to Vegas as my New Year's date. You don't know me very well. Other girls say go to hell. Other girls ain't you. You've got a need for what I'm here to sell. I'm closing in. This may be a win. You may have a penchant for debauchery and sin. If that's true, I'm your guy. Packed a suitcase, booked the flight, stop the paper, hold the mail, board the dog, and leave 3 nights. May come back and sell the house, quit the job, divorce the spouse. You may come back in love with me. It's not what this is all about. I'm closing in. This may be a win. You may have a penchant for debauchery and sin. Closing in. This may be a win. You may have a penchant for debauchery and sin. New Year's Eve in Vegas, it's all I'm here to sell. Don't come along expecting something else. I know exactly what you're gonna say, but I'm here to ask you anyway. Do you consider flying off to Vegas as my New Year's Day? Whoa, flying off to Vegas is my New Year's Day. Hey, teary-eyed girl at the bar. We're both in the same boat. Yes, we are. My New Year's date. Will be the opening song for my live stream next Friday, and it's the opening song on my CD. A Mile From Home. I've already played 2 from that on this show so far. And if you don't have a copy yet, you send me a mailing address. I'll send one to you. Or better still for me, if you're on any of the live streaming services, go on Apple or Spotify or Amazon for music or YouTube even, and stream it, because then I'll start getting statistics. And people will think, this guy's something to reckon with. He is the son of a gun that Randy Kong says he is, because he's getting people streaming his music. So, and then tell your friends to stream my music too. It's what I was saying a couple of weeks ago. Back in the day when I worked for the publisher, for the producer, the big thing we had to worry about in those days was, what if we actually came up with something that people liked and people wanted to hear, and they wanted to buy it. Back in the days when they had those little 45 RPMs, we had songs in 45 RPMs and those 33 and a half albums and stuff like that. What if people started liking it? How would we get them all printed off, distribution was a problem, getting it produced and distributed to enough people so that we could actually sell the records. That's not a problem anymore, because my songs now, along with 50 million other songs, are out there, and I've got the same distribution that Justin Bieber and Tony Bennett and Willie Nelson and everybody else. We all have the same, sources. You can get my music the same place you can get anybody else's. But the thing is, who am I, right? Unless people read that poem that Randy wrote about me this morning, for most people, they don't even know who I am. So, if I wrote something or recorded something that people actually liked, they could actually, in one day I could have, a million likes. But, someday, I won't do it now, but ask me about last Friday. What happened to this guy I met last Friday? This guy had 45 million views on his TikTok video, 45 million views. And I get, if I get a dozen, I'm thinking, I'm up there now. I'm somebody. But anyway, there's a price to pay for that. And we won't discuss it now. But, so let's get raucous. We're here to be raucous. Begging you, stop pushing me away. I'm here for you 24/7. This won't be a lonely day. You say you don't need what I'm selling. Well, you gotta have a taste. Midnight, the winds start to bear you down. I'm on the threshold of heaven. You ready to come around? Then you pop the $10 question. Do you want the answer now? I'm the man who loves you. Yes, I am the man who does. You've had your share of disappointments, baby. Don't close the book on love. You mutter that this doesn't sound sincere. Well, I got the best of intentions, baby, that's why I'm here. Now that I got your attention, I know how this all appears. I'm the man who loves you. Yes, I am the man who does. You've had your share of disappointments, baby. Don't close the book on love. This morning I bought me a ticket home. I'm gonna have you by sundown or I'm going home alone. Don't pass on the night on the town with the devil, you'll never know. I'm the man who loves you. Yes, I am the man who does. You've had your share of disappointments, baby. Don't close the book on love. I'm the man who loves you. Yes, I am a man who does. You've had your share of disappointments, baby. Don't close the book on love. And you know, on the New Year's Eve live stream, you know, I won't be able to be as raucous because if I plan on trying to go for 12, 14 hours, you know, I got to save some, you know, I can't blow out my voice in the first hour. And I was just thinking while I was playing that song, I mean, Randy, you must go for a lot of hours. Oh, what's the longest you've ever gone? I mean, you know, up until last year, I went 7 hours once without a break. And then, of course, last year I did 12 and a half hours without a break. But you probably go for quite a few hours regularly, don't you? So anyway, right now, again, we got Skyraiser there. We got Terry in England. So we got Africa, England. I think I just saw Vegas chime in. So we got people all around the United States. So it's exciting. It's exciting for our holiday party. You know, my 45 years ago, Christmas was Worthington, Minnesota. You'll probably, if you follow my Facebook page, every year I tell the famous Christmas story. You know, there's a Bible Christmas story that everybody tells. Then there's my Christmas story about my first Christmas away from home in Worthington, Minnesota, on the road with Baby Lester and the Buggy Bumpers. In a Holiday Inn. It's heartwarming. It's just heartwarming. But that's, you know, all the whole Baby Lester experience now is 45 years ago. It's hard to believe. Uh-oh. Here we go. Is this the right key? I guess. Well, it's that time of year again. Every year about this time, I get phone calls from shopping malls and law firms and other groups asking me to play at their holiday parties. For the life of me, I can't imagine what kind of a mind would ever conceive of me playing at a Christmas party. I don't do Christmas songs. Well, then they'll ask me, well, John, why can't you learn a Christmas song or two? Well, you know the answer to that one. John Burns plays John Burns originals. John Burns doesn't write Christmas songs. Well, then they'll ask me, well, John, why can't you write a Christmas song? I wrote this song. It's not a Christmas song. It's my song about why I don't do Christmas songs. Dashing through the snow with my very best guitar, trying to make a noontime gig, don't know where to park the car. Hear them sleigh bells ring, somebody turn them down. I got 3 sets of rock and roll, I got my own sound. Oh, booked in this December gig, I know what you want to hear. But coming off like Andy Williams is my unrelenting fear. Oh, coming off like Andy Williams is my unrelenting fear. Well, then I thought to myself, well, John, why do you have to be that way? Why can't you write a Christmas song? So I did. I'll tell you one thing, every year about that time, all the pop divas, the pop stars, the rock stars, the country stars, even the heavy metal stars, and yes, even the hip-hop stars, they all released their own holiday album. And on all these holiday albums produced by the pop divas, the country stars, the pop stars, the rock stars, even the heavy metal stars, and yes, even the hip-hop stars, they all feel compelled to write their own Christmas song, the original Christmas songs. The thing I think you'd have to agree with me about is that all these original Christmas songs written by the pop divas, the country stars, the pop stars, the rock stars, even the heavy metal stars, and yes, even the hip-hop stars, all these original Christmas songs, they all have one thing in common, don't they? They're all crap. So when I set out to write my own original Christmas song, rather than trying to reinvent the wheel, I elected to weave together what I consider to be the best elements of my favorite holiday music. So when you first hear my Christmas song, you may think you know it. You may want to sing along. But I can guarantee you that unless you've heard me play this song in a shopping mall or a coffee shop or a law firm Christmas party, perhaps you've logged on my website at www.bjohnburns.com and hit the link to a special holiday message from John Burns. I can guarantee you that you don't know my Christmas song. What I ask you to do is to listen to it one time through. Hear what I gotta say. If you still like it, still want to sing along, knock yourself out. Here's my Christmas song. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. My mom, she kissed Santa Claus, here I am today. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. My mom, she kissed Santa Claus, here I am today. Oh, booked in this December gig, I know what you want to hear. But coming off like Andy Williams is my unrelenting fear. Coming off like Andy Williams is my unrelenting fear. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. My mom, she kissed Santa Claus. Here I am, here I am, here I am, here I am. My mom, she kissed Santa Claus. Here I am today. My song about why I don't do Christmas songs. Coming off like Andy Williams. I actually saw Andy Williams once. I took my mother-in-law, my wife, and everything to see him. And I saw him in concert once. And then there's a story about my first summer in Iowa. We moved here in 1964, 57 years ago, November. And we went to our first state fair in 65. So we're at the state fair, the Iowa State Fair out in the Grand Concourse, you know, and evening with my dad, my two sisters, and we're just out there walking. All of a sudden, my dad is just, his attention is drawn to something. He's, and he starts actually running to one of these carts that carries a bunch of people, and he runs up and shakes a guy's hand, you know, and the guy, turns out, it was Andy Williams. And it was like, he was just like 5 boys in this cart. He's driving around with 5 boys in this cart. And it turns out that Andy was playing at the grandstand. And that year, they didn't have a different act every night. He played in the grandstand like every night of the fair in 1965. And his opening act was those 5 boys, the Osmond Brothers. So I saw Andy Williams live and in person on the concourse of the Iowa State Fair back in 1965. Now, Rick and Linda Brundys, you know, Linda's here. You know, they come to a lot of my shows, probably pretty much all of them. Not just me. I mean, Chad Everett, Brother Trucker, Andy Fleming solo. They support Deshaun Jones. They support everybody. How can they be in all those places at the same time? But here's a song. I'm pretty sure the very first time that they came to see me, I'm pretty sure it was at that it was at that coffee shop over in Beaverdale. And I was playing there, and it was late at night, and it was like me, and there was a girl behind the counter, and then there was Rick and Linda. And that's the first time I ever saw them. So I asked them, I said, is this a first date? Oh, no, we're married. And I said, well, grounds for celebration, that's it. And I said, well, pretend this is your first date. And I dedicated this song to Rick and Linda. It's probably the only song I ever dedicated to Rick or Linda, and that was at least 10 years ago. I've done a lot of crazy things this year, try to heal, to cope with the fear of being back out on the prowl without a clue of where to start and what to do. Now I'm here across the table from another strange face. I just start hating this place. I'm living in a daytmare. When will I ever wake up? Living through a daytmare. It's just the same rotten luck. It's chased me for the last 10 months. My daytmare. When will I wake up? My daytmare, daytmare, daytmare. I've had enough. I saw her walking on McKinley Street. I thought, man, this is the woman for me. I said, let's tumble down the hill and grab a beer. And she said, sure. I felt the twinges of fear. She came along without the trace of a fight. I thought something ain't right. Living through a daytmare. When will I ever wake up? Living through a daytmare. It's It's just the same rotten luck that chased me for the last 10 months. My date mare, when will I wake up? My date mare, date mare, date mare. I've had enough. How could you forget? She's telling stories that I don't understand. So I smile and I reach for her hand. It's rougher than the sole of a leather shoe, and not a word that I'm saying is true. Half of me is up to take advantage of her. That would be wicked, I'm sure. I'm living through a date mare. When will I ever wake up? Living through a date mare. It's just the same rotten luck that chased me for the last 10 months. My date mare, when will I wake up? My date mare, date mare, date mare. I've had enough. Oh, I'm living through a date mare. When will I ever wake up? Living through a date mare. It's just the same rotten luck that chased me for the last 10 months. My date mare, when will I wake up? My date mare, date mare, date mare. I've had enough. Living Through a Date Mare. Wrote that in 1986, I think. The only song I ever dedicated to Rick and Linda. I imagine that Chad Elliott is dedicating songs to you all the time, probably. But and for any of you that were expecting like a traditional Christmas concert, holiday concert, you know, one of those soft melodic ballads and stuff like that, I'll play this one. I know Martha was on just a little bit ago. I don't know if she's still on now. But I actually wrote this for her when she was Lynn Stevens, and I wrote it for her to sing, actually, back when I worked for the music producer, and we never got that far, and consequently, because we never did get it recorded, I can play it. There was the one song I wrote, The Other Side of Your Heart, that Lisa Gossett did. I can't play it because it's licensed to BMI, and I know there are people that play covers. I don't do it because I don't want to go crosswise with the the licensing companies, and even though it's a song I wrote. But anyway, this is one. It's not about Christmas. It's about September, but it's kind of puts you in the mood, I guess. Squeeze me at dawn, squeeze me all day long, squeeze a lot of us into one September weekend. Let's use the autumn day to get out and get away. We've only got each other and another day to spend. To squeeze a lot of us into one September weekend. Who knows where we'll go as long as we're alone. Quarter mile past nowhere on this one September weekend, away from any storm, we'll keep each other warm and hope the days last longer than they ever have before. before Monday rears its head and leaves behind an empty room, an empty bed, with another day to spend. Let's squeeze some more of us into one September weekend. One September weekend. And then another raucous one. I'm not the guy who needs to keep an eye for hours at a time on the women in my life. I don't have these jealous dreams that keep me out at night. Maybe they're true, the things they say about you. Even if it's so, I got no cause for being blue. I take what I got going now, even if it's true. I'd rather be numb, I'd rather stay dumb, I'd rather be stricken by the heat of the sun. I'd rather not see, I'd rather not know, I'd rather be drunk. I want love to be what I want it to be. I don't care, make a fool out of me. You keep me down, knock me on the ground. Slip out after midnight, babe, spend the night downtown. When all is said and done, I got the best deal all around. I'd rather stay dumb, I'd rather be stricken by the heat of the sun. I'd rather not see, I'd rather not know, I'd rather be drunk. I want love to be what I want it to be. I don't care, make a fool out of me. If I was blind, I would not learn to sign. My life won't get better if I worry all the time. I could lose you either way, but I won't lose my mind. I'd rather be numb, I'd rather stay dumb, I'd rather be stricken by the heat of the sun. I'd rather not see, I'd rather not know, I'd rather be drunk. I want love to be what I want it to be. I don't care. I'd rather be numb, I'd rather stay dumb, I'd rather be stricken by the heat of the sun. I'd rather not see, I'd rather not know, I'd rather be drunk. I want love to be what I want it to be. I don't care, make a fool out of me. Raucous song number one, raucous song number two. Let you take me to a sushi bar. You got a secret to tell. Whatever it is, it must stick in your throat. No, you don't look so well. We're almost strangers, we're not that close. What could you have to say? Gonna give you what you want the most, but you gotta pave the way. Your face is flush, your palms are wet. I let you hang for the fun of it, but I got a secret too. I had a dream about you. I can see you're an open book, totally different from me. Spot the target and you get that look. I see you draw your bead. Your face is flush, your palms are wet. I let you hang for the fun of it, but I got a figure too. I had a dream about you. I can't tell you what it was. That would be giving up too much. Giving up control. Oh, man, I gotta play the role. Your face is flush, your palms are wet. I I let you hang for the fun of it, but I got a secret too. I had a dream about you. Your face is flushed, your palms are wet. I let you hang for the fun of it, but I got a secret too. I had a dream about you. Had a dream about you, baby. I had a dream about you. 12-bar blues. How could you be more raucous than 12-bar blues? From the attitude I'm wearing, it may look like I've been burned. That's the ugly truth, my friend. I was hunted, caught, then spurned. I was sweet-talked out of money, a fur coat and my red T-bird. Well, sit back and let me tell you what I've learned. There's no safe love in this day and age. There's too much to rise above in this day and age. Well, there's all kinds of commitments you can make. It's just a passing stage in this day and age. Listen to your mama, they ain't all like her. Soon enough you find one who will tear you up for sure. You may heed the warning or tell yourself it's worth the risk. It surprises me to hear me talk like this. There's no safe love in this day and age. There's too much to rise above in this day and age. Well, there's all kinds of commitments you can make. It's just a passing stage in this day and age. I'm not a licensed counselor. I don't got no PhD. If you come here for the answers, don't even look at me. All that I can tell you are lessons from my past mistakes. And trusting is the biggest one I make. Oh, there's no safe love in this day and age. There's too much to rise above in this day and age. Well, there's all kinds of commitments you can make. It's just a passing stage in this day and age. Oh, there's no safe love in this day and age. There's too much to rise above in this day and age. Well, there's all kinds of commitments you can make. It's just a passing stage in this day and age. There's no safe love. It comes back to those days in the 80s when they talk about practicing safe sex. And there was this camp, this group of people that were saying, well, there's really no such thing as safe sex, you know. Abstinence is the only way. And I'm thinking, what about love? You know, there's really no safe love either. You're always walking into a minefield. You know, if you're kind of, you know, glass half empty type person, you know, that's how you think, basically. That's raucous. That's right. I started thinking, babe, that you weren't coming back this time. You think I would have learned by now. There's one thing that's sure in life. It's the shallow end of my memory. How completely I can fall. The shallow end of my memory. I got no inner strength where you're involved. God only knows I could use some peace. I'll go forever trying to understand you. I'll modify my whole way of doing things. Somehow, baby, I still lose. I scribbled out a list of everything I had to lose. For the first time it occurred to me, the ground I've given up to you is the shallow end of my memory. The hole in my blockade, the shallow end of my memory. I'm as helpless as an infant babe. I'm not asking you to back away. I'd rather lose to you than rise without you. Maybe it would change the way you look at me if I told you we were through. The shallow end of my memory, how completely I can fall. The shallow end of my memory, I got no inner strength where you're involved. The shallow end of my memory, the open door to your heart. The shallow end of my memory, raucous caucus. You say the word, I fall apart. Shallow end of my memory. That goes out to the raucous caucus. This one, not a raucous song, but I always follow that one with this one. I like the two of them together. You didn't trust me when I met you. It's kind of a raucous message, though. But you sure don't trust me now. You may be right. This old cat won't lose his stripes. But that's no cause to beat him when he's down. That's no cause to beat him when he's down. I can take the blame for walking out on you. I don't make excuses for myself. To ask you to forgive me may be way too much, but you're the better of the two of us. You're the better of the two of us. I know you would not treat a stranger to the pain I've run you through. Still you come back, I'm well aware of that. And I go back to raining down on you. Oh, oh, oh. I go back to raining down on you. Any moment now, babe, you may ask yourself, Why you let me do you wrong so long? Yet I get the feeling that I'm still in luck. You're the better of the two of us. You're the better of the two of us. I can take the blame for walking out on you. I don't make excuses for myself. To ask you to forgive me may be way too much, but you're the better of the two of us. You're the better of the two of us. You're the better of the two of us. The better of the two of us. The better of the two of us. People out there having a little bit to drink, getting their barriers kind of breaking down a little bit and doing things you wouldn't normally do, Getting yourself in a little trouble on the office party, the Halloween party, the famous Halloween party. He's in a band, I guess. Changed his fancy dress. The weekend of an answered text. He's in a band, I guess. Worst of all, he plays the drums. I don't wish that on anyone. He's in a band, he says. So I fill this empty bed till some new ginger turns his head. He's in a band, he says. Doubt it even lasts a month. Oh, even though he plays the drums. I thought I was your forever man. Oh, I'm not him, he's in a band. Paid my dues, did all I can. I'm not him, he's in a band. Worst of all, he plays the drums. I don't wish that on anyone. Doubt it even lasts a month. Oh, even though he plays the drums, he's in a band, I guess. Which explains the fancy dress. The weekend of unanswered text. He's in a band, I guess. You know it doesn't mean you love me less. He's in a band, I guess. I wish you both the very best. He's in a band, I guess. I know you'll be back when he heads west. He's in a band, I guess. Linda asked for that one, so. Okay, well, another, I guess here's a holiday appropriate song, more appropriate for me about 3 years ago, but back when this sort of thing was happening, but still it's a good Christmas song, I guess. I don't eat your cookies, you don't sit on my lap, I don't glide down your chimney, don't do any of that. You say you're not into conflict, but peace in your day. There's one thing you just ought not say. Don't you call me by the S word, thinking we're not gonna fight. I don't want to hear the S word, except perhaps on that one solemn night. Don't encourage the children, it's the wrong thing to learn. You'll go tossing out the S word, and cities will burn. I'm not all into sleigh rides, spreading good cheer. That's not my station, it's just how I appear. You like tossing out nicknames, friend, that's just fine. I'm just not real happy with mine. Don't you call me by the S word, thinking we're not gonna fight. I don't want to hear the S word, except perhaps on that one solemn night. Don't encourage the children, it's the wrong thing to learn. You go tossing out the S word, cities will burn. Oh, the S word ain't the best word for me. I'm not inclined to take this peacefully. You want to get a laugh, there's 100 safer ways of doing that. Don't be calling me the S word, thinking we're not gonna fight. Hi, Tom. I don't want to hear the S word, except perhaps on that one solemn night. Don't encourage the children, it's the wrong thing to learn. You go tossing out the S word, and cities will burn. You go tossing out the S word, and cities will burn. You go tossing out the S word, and cities will burn. Don't be calling me the S word. That's the one that got me in trouble a little bit last summer when I was playing in Mitchellville, and I told the story about going to the Mitchellville prison, you know, and the little girl called me by that name, and I told her, you know, I'm glad your mother's in prison. She's lucky to be in prison to be away from you, you little shit. You know, and I thought that was funny, but nobody else did. They were very incensed by it. And but they did ask me back to play. I did continue to play there, but it kind of changed kind of the whole view of each other down there at Mitchellville. So anyway, I won't tell that joke. I guess I just did kind of, but I won't tell it anymore. You know, I played it. I wrote it. I played it a couple of weeks after I wrote it at the Iowa State Fair. Max Schaefer, who I don't really know, came up to me and was telling me that you know, he saw me up there playing, and he was going to be directing Buddy the Elf on the Des Moines Playhouse stage that season, and he was going to come up and talk to me about auditioning for the role of Santa Claus. But after he heard that song, he decided not to, which is a wise move on his part. So let's get serious. Mr. Rogers cheats at cards. No one complains, carry 13 items through the checkout lane. That's the worst thing that he's ever done. He's still more Fred Rogers than anyone. More Fred Rogers than anyone. Mr. Rogers looks at girls. It's not from the side, stares them down until they're hypnotized. He can board an airline with a loaded gun, 'cause he's more Fred Rogers than anyone. More Fred Rogers than anyone. When you're closer to sainthood than Mother Teresa, you go helping yourself to the last slice of pizza. I don't complain because it isn't your piece, it's mine. When Mr. Rogers pays the tab, he does not leave a tip. It's 'cause he never got the hang of it. Always caught by strangers for the good he's done, 'cause he's more Fred Rogers than anyone. More Fred Rogers than anyone. Mr. Rogers cheats at cards. No one complains, carry 13 items through the checkout lane. That's the worst thing that he's ever done. He's still more Fred Rogers than anyone. More Fred Rogers than anyone. More Fred Rogers than anyone. More Fred Rogers. More Fred Rogers. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. More Fred Rogers than anyone. More Fred Rogers than anyone. That's a raucous song. This is about a place on 4th Street, south of Walnut Street, north of Court, where the lift is now. Wasn't 25 years ago, was something else. Dark deals at Darrow's Courthouse Pub. Men come in pinstripe suits and slip on wearing only the cloaks of darkness on their backs. Don't ask about that. Dark deals at Darrow's Courthouse Pub. There is no 9 to 5. On 4th Street there is always the stench of business in the mist. Don't ask about this. Dark deals at Darrow's Courthouse Pub. There is one empty booth, but that booth is reserved for the man in shades who just walked in. Don't ask about him. Dark deals at Darrow's Courthouse Pub. There is one empty booth, but that booth is reserved for the man in shades who just walked in. Don't ask about him. Another raucous one. Watch this. I'm gonna be the fool who comes to rescue her from the black hole of her life. For everything I offer her, you think she'd thank me, brother, that's for sure. But that's so far from right. There's this horrible sense of never. Each time I catch her eye, this horrible sense of never. Hello, what's that? Goodbye. Who's that? I can't count all the ways he's gonna dump on her, but I can't tell her that, and it doesn't have to be that way. I tell her that my door is open every day, but all she does is laugh. There's this horrible sense of never. Each time I catch her eye, this horrible sense of never. Hello, what's that? Goodbye. I open up my heart. She snaps, whatever. Then in taking it all outside, she tells me that my silence was so much better. All right, you win, bye-bye. There's this horrible sense of never. Each time I catch your eye, this horrible sense of never. Hello, what's that? Gone by. More raucous music. This horrible sense of never. Thank you, Linda. Thank you. Here's one for those of you who came here tonight expecting something more jazzy and breezy and all that, and less of the rock and roll. I got a problem, I know. I can't read the signs, and I never let go of this vision of all of you posed in a line. The lost loves of our lives, never meant to dwell upon, but I don't see you as being gone. You said you need some space and some time. That's not goodbye. It's not goodbye in my mind. The lost loves of our lives may not treasure the memory, but can't you see what you meant to me? I know I said that 35 times. It wasn't a lie. It wasn't a lie at the time. I got a problem, I know. I can't read the signs, and I never let go of this vision of all of you posed in a line. It's never goodbye. It's never goodbye in my mind. The lost loves of our lives. It's never goodbye with the lost loves of our lives. I gotta give it a try, 'cause the thought of letting go, that thought is not on my mind. Letting go of the lost loves of our lives. I think there's a competition between that one and He's in a Band, I guess, for the very worst guitar solo of the night. But at any rate, how about this one about my 10 years ago, my old boss. Well, we don't dress strong, and we're not that much to look at, and we don't win a lot of awards, but we doubt we really want that. But that don't mean we don't push back. While you're here, you should step into the break room. There's something to see on the wall. I think it will impress you. It's time we took you back to school. My boss is a Harvard boy, I'm so proud of me. I'm just a heartbeat from an Ivy League degree. He don't brag about it, but I do every day. My boss is a Harvard boy. Your boss went to State. Maybe your boss went to Drake. He's got the open door, and he's got the good intentions, and he's also got this IQ that's way too high to mention. God help the fool who takes him on. Well, my boss is a Harvard boy, I'm so proud of me. I'm just a heartbeat from an Ivy League degree. He don't brag about it, but I do every day. My boss is a Harvard boy. Your boss went to State. Maybe your boss went to Drake. Sometimes I sit in his chair when he's not there late at night. One time I try on the bow tie. It's not a pretty sight. Well, my boss is a Harvard boy. I'm so proud of me. I'm just a heartbeat from an Ivy League degree. He don't brag about it, but I do every day. My boss is a Harvard boy. Your boss went to State. Maybe your boss went to Drake. Oh, my boss is a Harvard boy. Yeah, maybe your boss went to Drake. Hey, 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 hey. That's raucous. But one of my good friends, we lost him 10 years ago. Actually, when I did my 2011 dinner hour live stream 2 weeks ago, and I played all the songs, a lot of my songs from 2011, that was on that. See, it's raining in the west. If you're out and about, you can be my guest. Saw some lightning coming down. Try it here. I saw you on there late, Edie. I saw you on there, Edie. Underground, everybody goes underground. Can I have one of those? We'll take some early evening rest. You and me raining in the west. It's been absolutely dry for 5 solid weeks. Now look up in the sky, which is why we don't complain. Come with me, we'll welcome in the rain. The summer rain, California wine. The summer rain, this will be our time to catch some early evening rest. You and me raining in the west. Underground, everybody goes underground. Can I have one of those? We'll catch some early evening rest. You and me raining in the west. Catch some early evening rest. You and me raining in the west. We'll catch some early evening rest. You and me raining in the west. I don't know if you're still on, Edie, but like I say, if you go down to my music page and scroll down to you can watch my old live streams, and I did spend about 10 minutes setting that song up a couple weeks ago, telling the story, because it has been 10 years. And the other thing is, it turns out, I live on this cul-de-sac in Johnston, and like 3 of the houses in this area have some tie to that Manning Audubon area, that in the Dries family and stuff. In fact, the woman next door to me, her maiden name was Dries, and a few months ago, she was out walking with her mother, and she asked if she could have a copy of my CD, Year of the Jumping Flea, that had that song on it. So, because her mother was with her, and she wanted to give it to her mother, so I gave it to her. And the mother passed away like a week later. I don't think it was related to hearing my music, although that happens a lot, so I can't rule it out. But at any rate, that was that. Here's one. This is a raucous one. I don't play it that much, but people seem to like it when I play it. If I had a dime for every time I've been stood up, turned down, traded in, thrown out by love, I'd be holding a fortune in my glove. Holding a fortune in my glove. Don't flatter yourself, thinking you're the first. I may be crying today, but by Saturday night I'll be on my way to recovery. If I had a dime for every time I've been stood up, turned down, traded in, thrown out by love, I'd be holding a fortune in my glove. Holding a fortune in my glove. The first time I fell, I cried and I cried. Thought I never would heal. Then I took another spin on the romance wheel and it toughened me. Then you came along. I admit I was stunned. Time I was prepared. Now I won't be torn apart by a love affair, 'cause it toughened me. If I had a dime for every time I've been stood up, turned down, traded in, thrown out by love, I'd be holding a fortune in my glove. Holding a fortune in my glove. Na 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 na. If I had a dime for every time I've been stood up, turned down, traded in, thrown out by love, I'd be holding a fortune in my glove. Whoa, ho, ho. Holding a fortune in my glove. If I had a dime for every time I've been stood up, turned down, traded in, thrown out by love, I'd be holding a fortune in my glove. Whoa, ho, ho. Holding a fortune in my glove. Ho, 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 ho. Holding a fortune in my glove. If I had a dime for every time. So I'm down to my last song in just a minute. I want to thank everybody for coming out and listening to me. I want to thank Randy for the poem today. That was great. That was an early Christmas present for me. And everybody for listening. I'll be back. I'll probably do something next week. But then next Friday, New Year's Eve, all night long, I'll be there. If you're going to a New Year's party, you come home 2 o'clock in the morning. I may be still doing it. I may still have 10 hours left at that point. I don't know what I've got in me for next week. But I'll try to go until 2 o'clock Central Time so we can ring in the new year. And, you know, the four time zones in the continental United States, and then we'll swing for the fences and try to get Alaska and Hawaii, and then after that we'll just head off into the Pacific and just play until I can't play anymore. So do that, and if there's somebody there who doesn't have the CD, Mile Offshore, just private message me with the mailing address. I'll send you one. Or go on any of your favorite streaming services. You can buy it. You can buy it at Amazon. I'm sure you can buy it at Spotify and everything. Or you can stream it and help me get my stats up that way. And then, as I say, I'm going to start streaming Badass Storm 2020 in February, and then just keep going from there. So we can do that. We're moving into the 21st century, and that's cool. So anyway, I'm down to my last song. You know what it is. It was the last song on Badass Storm 2020. Wrote it a year ago in the summer. Decided from then on, just like I open with a mile off stream now until I come up with something better. I'm going to close with this song. Merry Christmas to everybody. Merry Christmas. Have a safe holiday. Drive safe and all that other stuff. And see you back here next week. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Terry. Linda, thank you, Tara. Thank you, everybody. I've been doing this for all of my life. It's the one thing I know. I've been to all of the corners of the globe. Now I'm sailing into that stage in life. Started taking it slow. But I still dream the dream, doubt I'll ever let it go. I will play where I can play, some dark corner or a stage. I've got something for whatever you can play. I'm not a complicated man, all I'm asking is to stand here if you let me have an hour with this Martin in my hands. With this Martin in my hand, the Raucous Caucus. Thank you, Randy. On a little bench on 2nd and Grand sits a man with a horn. He's been playing there since almost a year I was born. Used to be a joke with my friends. I would wind up like him. Now I see him and I realize how lucky he's been. Thank you, Terry. I will play where I can play, some dark corner or a stage. I've got something for whatever you can pay. I'm not a complicated man. All I'm asking is to stand here if you let me have an hour with this Martin in my hand. With this Martin in my hand. It's not the best thing for my health. I'm not acquiring great wealth, but I go on because I owe it to myself. Well, I'm not reaching for the stars. Things will stay the way they are, but I keep plugging, so I may never get that far. I will play where I can play, some dark corner or a stage. I've got something for whatever you can pay. I'm not a complicated man. All I'm asking is to stand here if you let me have an hour with this Martin in my hand. With this Martin in my hands, I will play where I can play, some dark corner or a stage. I've got something for whatever you can pay. I'm not a complicated man. All I'm asking is to stand here if you let me have an hour with this Martin in my hand. With this Martin in my hand. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.